Hello, civilized people. White House projects 100,000 to 240,000 U.S. deaths from the beer flu. President Donald Trump on Tuesday warned Americans to brace for a rough 2-week period ahead as the White House released new projections that there could be 100,000 to 240,000 deaths in the U.S. from the beer flu pandemic, even if current social distancing guidelines are maintained. Public health officials stress that the number could be less if people change their behavior. We really believe we can do a lot better than that, said Dr. Deborah Birx, the coordinator of the White House Beer Flu Task Force. That would require all Americans to take seriously their role in preventing the spread of disease, she said. Trump called American efforts to slow the spread of the beer flu a matter of life and death and urged the public to heed his administration's guidelines. He predicted the country would soon see a light at the end of the tunnel in the pandemic that has killed more than 3,500 Americans and infected 170,000 more. I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead, Trump said. We're going to go through a very tough 2 weeks. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the government's top infectious disease expert, said the numbers are sobering and called on Americans to step on the accelerator with their collective mitigation efforts. We are continuing to see things go up, Fauci said. We cannot be discouraged by that because the mitigation is actually working and will work. Birx said pandemic forecasts initially predicted 1.5 million to 2.2 million deaths in the U.S., but that was a worst-case scenario, without efforts to slow the spread of the beer flu through social distancing. Birx said states that have not yet seen a spike in cases, as New York, could take action to flatten the curve of rising hospitalizations and deaths. As for the projection of 100,000 to 240,000 deaths, Fauci of the National Institutes of Health said, "We don't accept that number. That's what it's going to be. We want to do much better than that." The comments came after Trump announced Sunday that he was extending to April 30th the social distancing guidelines that urged Americans to cease social gatherings, work from home, suspend on-site learning at schools, and more in a nationwide effort to stem the spread of the virus. It was an abrupt reversal for Trump, who spent much of last week targeting April 12th as a day he wanted to see Americans pack the pews for Easter Sunday services. Trump called the data very sobering, saying it was his understanding that the 100,000 deaths was a minimum that would be difficult to avoid. He also sought to rewrite his past minimization of the outbreak, saying he rejected those who compared the new beer flu to the regular flu, when in fact he repeatedly did so publicly. This could be a hell of a bad 2 weeks, Trump said. Many states and local governments already have stiffer controls in place on mobility and gatherings. Birx said the experiences of Washington State and California give her hope that other states can keep the beer flu under control through social distancing. That's because they moved quickly to contain the early clusters of beer flu by closing schools, urging people to work from home, banning large gatherings, and taking other measures now familiar to most Americans, she noted. I am reassured by looking at the Seattle line, she added. California and Washington State reacted very early to this. Trump spoke after another troubling day for the stock market, which has been in a free fall as the beer flu ground the economy to a near halt and left millions unemployed. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged more than 400 points, roughly 1.9%, to seal the worst first quarter finish of its 135-year history. I thought that this would be over a very long time ago. Remember when I said, let's have a contest to see who can guess when this whole virus thing will be out of the news cycle? How long ago was that? We all lost. Gosh, this thing is in every single news cycle, and how many videos have I done about it? I'm really sick and tired of talking about it. I want it to go away. And I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. I'm so angry at the media and the government for scaring people. You know, there's people out there who have compromised immune systems, and they're absolutely terrified that this is going to be a death sentence for them no matter what they do. And when you have somebody who's terrified, it doesn't matter what kind of facts, reason, or evidence you have. People who are terrified, and there's nothing you can do to stop them from being terrified. It is incredibly frustrating. If any of you have been able to get through to somebody who's terrified about getting this virus, dear God, please let me know how you did it. Please tell me your tricks. I so desperately want to know your tricks. What really concerns me is that I don't trust the government. I think that they're going to cut off our electricity, and I have a lot of stuff in my freezer. If the electricity's cut off and my frozen food melts, because this time of the year it's not cold enough to put my stuff outside in the snow. I don't have any snow and ice right now. It's in the 40s and 50s, maybe just barely enough. But anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm dehydrating my food. I'm cutting up my steaks and marinating them in barbecue sauce and then putting them in the food dehydrator. I've got some chicken and some other stuff, some bacon. I'm going to try bacon. I'm not going to marinate it in barbecue sauce or anything like that, but I'm going to dehydrate it and see how well it dehydrates. It may seem like it is a bit too late to prep, but I don't think so. You know, just keep working away at it, keep plugging away, keep working on those stockpiles, whatever you have to do. Every single day we are inundated, if we watch the news, about how many people are projected to get this virus, and we've been told that it's going to be so much worse. Millions of people are going to get it, millions of people are going to die, and the death rate is not even noticeable, not even significant enough to put on statistics. I cannot tell you what is going to happen with this virus. There just isn't enough information out there for me to make any sort of an educated guess. I can, however, tell you what's going to happen with our economy, and I can tell you what's going to happen to our food supply. You know, the price of meat is going to skyrocket because of all of the livestock that was lost. Last spring and summer, and the crops that were lost last spring and summer. We're really going to get hit pretty hard, and it's just going to be terrible. The economy is in really bad shape, and it's projected that we'll have higher unemployment than during the Great Depression. A lot of people are going to qualify for unemployment, but when that unemployment runs out, when EBT cards get shut off, when people can't get welfare, when houses get foreclosed on, people get kicked out of their rentals, it's going to be a friggin' disaster. And it doesn't matter how many National Guards people, how many reserves we have out there, it is going to be a mess. It's going to be just a big, fat, hairy mess. And besides the economy sucking, we're also due for a natural disaster. It's natural disaster season, you know, here out on the West Coast. We got that Cascadia Rising, that massive earthquake, and they're probably going to blame it on North Korea. They're going to set off bombs, set off that fault line, and it's going to take off at least, I don't know, a few miles of the coast. Not inland as far as I am. I'm 75 miles inland. Probably to take off maybe 5 or 10 miles of the coastline. Hopefully that major earthquake and tsunami will take out Seattle, Portland, LA, San Francisco, all the corrupt cities along the West Coast. Then we've got hurricanes and tornadoes that come through every year that are going to decimate parts of America. All right, civilized people, that's the damage for today. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your comments below.